Can someone confirm if they can see this screen?
Yes, sir, it's
Yes, sir.
visible.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So yeah, so this is like you can say the first formal meeting. Like we had an introductory seminar previously, but you can consider this to be first formal discussion. And I didn't want to like straight away jump into some mathematical topic, but I thought better let's start with puzzles. Okay, now these are not puzzles which like, are some for like random puzzles which you usually find, but these are something like quant. Um, and like also, can someone confirm if the recording is going on or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So these puzzles are the kind of puzzles which you can expect, like obviously not exactly these puzzles, but something of similar flavor. You can expect in the job interviews for some particular profiles. Like we call those profile as quant profile. Now, what do quant profile do? Like those guys usually like they develop some thing called algorithms and like they do something which involves your brain. Those are not entirely coding, but it's something other than coding also. Like mainly you'll be brainstorming and all. So for that, you need to like sort of be like sort of well versed with these kind of puzzles, and these are also quite challenging also. So that's why I just wanted to begin with this thing because see like the aim of this club is first to make you learn like so you should learn something new from this. Second, it should be kind of relevant for relevant to what you want to do in future as far as career goals are concerned. So yeah, so let's not waste any more time and like let's begin. Yeah, so you can read this puzzle, but I'll also explain the puzzle. So say you have some 1 lakh married couples. Okay, now each family, say like say suppose this is like India from 100 years ago, where they every family wished to have a male child and all. So so you can assume that each family will have a child until they get a male child, and after that they'll stop having a child. Okay. So so each year, so in say in each year you have like each family, like a couple will have one child. Okay, in each year, and suppose in one particular year they have a male child, then they'll stop having children from the subsequent years. So at the end of each year, you will have now like males and female childs. So you have to tell me with each year what will be the percentage of male child. Okay, so what you can expect the percentage of male child, you can assume that there's an equal like there's a like you can assume this that say if there are 100 children born, then 50 of them will be boys and 50 of them will be girls. So obviously you can do this problem by like sitting and doing calculations, but what these quant people expect you to do is to give an elegant solution. Okay, so can someone give me an elegant solution without going into much details or maths? Like explain your logic verbally. Yeah. So if the problem is not clear, you can just have a look at this slide. Just the problem is well explained in this slide, and then try to solve this puzzle. Like you like I want an elegant solution. It shouldn't be like okay, every year this is the number of boys, then this and that and that. So I just want some elegant answer. The answer is quite simple, but I want someone from you to answer this question quite elegantly. It is an easy question, that's why I kept easy as the category.
I want to give a logic.
Yeah.
Actually, my logic is that if 50-50% chances are there, then in the first year, half will be boys and half will be girls.
Yeah.
So 50 50,000 boys and 50,000 girls,
Yeah,
then the 50,000 families will stop,
yeah,
and then the other 50,000 will continue, and then it will go on iterate itself like
yeah,
half.
yeah. So what is the final answer? Like, what will be the percentage?
I have to calculate that. Oh,
Uh,
Wouldn't it be 1/2 party?
no, no, no. Just think carefully.
so
Just think like the guy who told me the logic. You are almost there actually. Just think carefully. What will be the number of boys and number of girls? Compare the number at the end of each year.
Equal.
Yeah, it will be equal. So it might sound counterintuitive, but at the end of each year, you'll have equal number of boys and girls. So like as that whoever was telling that you have said like if you have say 1 lakh families, they'll have 50,000 boys and 50,000 girls. Okay, so these boys families will stop having children, but these girls families will continue having children. Okay, so at the end of second year, 25,000 boys will be born and 25,000 girls will be born. So in a way, equal number of boys and girls are getting born, irrespective of what happened before. So that's why you have same number of boys and girls. So this is quite an elegant solution. Like so, like some like this actually very good trick question. Someone might think okay, there should be an expression of t in the percentage, but no, like it will be 50%. So these are the kind of simple questions which they ask to check whether you're quite aware of the situation or not. Okay, so you need not read this slide. I'll send you the slides later. But let's move on to the second question. Okay. Uh, yeah. So say there are two persons, me and one my friend. Suppose I have four. Say I am going to toss a coin for 4 times. Okay. My friend is going to toss a coin for 5 times. Now I will win. Uh, okay. So sorry, my friend will win if he gets more number of hits, strictly more number of hits. If I get even equal or more, then I'll win. So what is the probability that probability of winning for each person? Okay. So you can read the line. So I is person one, you is person two. So here also I want elegant solution. You can sit and calculate and do all kinds of stuff, but elegant answers is what I expect and is what is expected even in the interviews and all which you see.
I
So
think it should be half.
yeah, it should be half. And your logic?
And the logic is because the other person tosses 5 times, so the number of heads is never going to, I mean, for the number of heads, it's also always going to be either greater than or less than the number of tails. So we can have some sort of symmetric situation, like the probability of winning and losing are equal then.
But you have to compare with the person who is going to toss a coin for 4 times, right? So compare with that and then try to give a logic. But you are quite near, but uh, there are two persons. Okay. So no, there's not just one person. There are two persons basically. You have to compare their heads, and if the heads of the second person is strictly greater than the first person, then only you will sort of win.
Divide the 5 coins
I
into
have
4
one
coins
logic.
and the
Like
best
someone
coin.
was telling. Yeah, yeah. Just tell your solution. 4 coins and 1 coin.
Yeah, the case of the first 4 coins were same with the other person. Like both of them have equal probability.
Hmm.
So we are left with the remaining coin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 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 Basically, it boils down to whether the final coin is head or tail. So, yeah. So what? Yeah, this is what the solution is. So, so like what happens is the game is pretty much simple. So what you can do, the guy who is going to toss 5 coins, so you keep 1 coin for reserve. Okay. So now what will happen is that, say each of you toss a coin for 4 times. Okay. And then whoever has the more number of heads will win. Okay. That's guaranteed. But suppose if they are tied, then it will go to the final toss. And there also it's symmetric. So because of this, your probability of winning is exactly equal to half. So that's the rough logic. So if you want, I can repeat again. So what you do, don't ask the second guy to toss for 5 times. Okay. Ask him to toss for 4 times. Okay. So in this scenario, it's symmetric. So you can win. Like if you get more number of coin tosses, like more number of heads than the other guy, you win. If he gets more number of heads, then he wins. So both have same probability, and there is a in between you can have tie. Like you both can have 2 heads. So in that scenario, you're going to a final tiebreaker where you are tossing 1 coin. If that comes out to be head, then the second guy will win, otherwise the first guy will win. So that's the rough solution, and this is why the answer is half. You can do all your case analysis, all the possibilities and everything, and you can generate your sample space and calculate probability how you usually calculate. But again, I told you need some elegance actually, because in these kind of puzzles they don't expect you to do maths, but they expect you to show some kind of elegance. So is this solution clear? I hope, yeah, it's pretty simple solution only. Yeah, so this is not that tough. Like this is a easy question only. Say you have 3 children, but you have 1 apple. So you want to give that apple to one of the child, but you want to do it in some fair way. Like each child should have an equal chance of getting the apple, and what you have with you is a fair coin. So it will give heads and tails with same probability. If there was two child, then it was quite simple. Like if you toss the coin, if it's head, you give to one child. If it's tail, you give it to the other child. But now there are 3 children, and we don't have like 3-sided coins actually. We have only 2-sided coins, heads or tails. So what strategy will you choose so that like you can get like it is equally likely to give you the apple to one of the child. So basically the probability that a child gets an apple is equal to 1/3. So that is what I want. So this is very simple question. So is someone willing to answer this question? Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Ah, okay, fine.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So would someone like to come up with a strategy how to ensure that the probability of getting an apple is 1/3?
Yeah, so what I might do is like I would tell the first child to like toss the coin 3 times, and then the second child to toss the coin 3 times, and the third child to toss the coin 3 times, and whoever gets the most number of heads will get the apple or something like that. That's what I thought.
Yeah, can be right. It's a nice solution actually.
The 3 can toss the coin only once. If they all get same outcome, they would repeat it. And in the other outcome, if anyone get a different one, the other 2 would get the same one, and that one would win.
Okay. Yeah, these are solutions will work. But if they get repeat, then you have to sort of repeat the thing right again. So
Can I answer?
I have an idea.
Hello.
Madhu, is that you speaking?
No, it's Jayansh.
Okay. I thought Madhusudan came. Yeah,
Yeah, so I can like toss the coin 3 times. So there's one possibility that this will get that one child out of the 3 will win the toss twice, so he is the winner. And if it's tied, it will be tied amongst 2 children only. So those 2 children also I can toss again and decide the winner.
I didn't get your solution exactly. Like what you're doing, like you're tossing a coin for 3 times. Like
Yes.
for whom? Like each of them is tossing a coin for three
Yes.
times.
No, I am taking the 3 children in pairs, so I'll get 3 pairs,
Ah,
right?
yeah. So whoever gets an
So
head
knockout.
So
knockout, but yeah, but they can be a three-way tie, right? Like each of them is winning 1-1-1.
yeah, so I could start it again with
Yeah.
some.
That is actually one correct solution which you told. That is one correct solution. Like you do 3 tosses, whoever gets the highest, like say wins, like then that guy gets. Otherwise, you repeat it again. So that is correct solution. But can some like okay? So if there is a three-way tie, we are kind of repeating. So basically, so for each repetition, we are doing 3 tosses. Okay. So repetition is unavoidable, but for one iteration, how many coin tosses are we doing? There we are doing 3. Can someone tell me a solution where we just require 2 coin tosses? Obviously, repetition can arise, but suppose you don't get that repetition case, then it should get concluded within 2 coin tosses only.
Can I try again?
Yeah, you can try.
Yeah, so I could be like out of the 3, I'll make a group of 2 and one alone guy. So I'll do the toss, and if that alone guy wins, he is going to get. But if that group wins, so I'll do the toss again between the bit in the pair, and whoever wins gets the apple.
That is
But
not equally likely.
yeah, that is not equally likely, right?
No, I.
So is someone willing to try with just 2 coin tosses? I'll give you a hint. Just chalk down the possible outcomes of 2 coin tosses, and then keep one for repetition. Then you'll get the solution.
Like
I have
the
one.
Yeah, then
We are. I am tossing 2 coins. 2 times the coin 2 times.
yeah,
So I can get HH, TH, HT, or TT.
yeah,
So I will consider one of them for repetition. If
yeah,
there is one outcome, then I will consider it for repetition, and the other 3 I will consider for one child each.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's the solution.
that will give me.
Yeah, that's the solution. Yeah, yeah. This is actually this typing error. This is HH actually. Yeah, so just fix it here itself. Yeah, that's the solution. Yeah. So yeah, so this is and another solution which another guy told, like 3 tosses and repeating, that is also a good solution. So yeah, so these were easy questions. So now let's go to a tougher question. Okay, so this is a medium question, and this question was asked to me in my placements, okay, which happened last month in December. So yeah, so the company was Quad Eye, so I got placed there only in Quad Eye. So this particular puzzle was given to me there. Okay, I modified it slightly, but like the numericals and all, but more or less the puzzle is same. So you have 52 cards. Okay. So either you can see the backside of the card, which doesn't have anything, like some random design, or the upside. So which is like where the number is kind of revealed. So say you're given a pile where 13 cards are facing up and rest of them are facing down. Okay. And for some reason assume that you are blind. Okay. Like you can't see which cards are up and which cards are down, and neither you can feel by touching the texture or something like that. So you have to divide the like you have to create two piles, okay, such that number of cards in both, like number of cards facing up in both the piles are same actually, and you are allowed to flip the cards if you want. Okay, but you can't see which card is facing up and which card is facing down. So say if you divide it into two piles, in one pile if there are 7 cards facing up, then in the other pile also 7 cards should face up. So that's the rough logic. So how would you do it? And they need not be equal sized piles. They can be any size. And you can do anything with the pile, like you can flip and you can do anything. But you cannot see basically which card is facing up and which card is facing down. So would someone like to give a strategy, like how can we do this so that we have equal number of cards facing up? So you can read the question on the screen also if you want some clarity. And then if someone cracks the answer, just feel free to tell me.
I have a solution.
Yeah, tell.
So if we just remove 13 cards from the original pile and flip all of them over, and then make that our second pile, then both of the piles should have equal number of cards facing up.
Yeah, that's the correct answer. Yeah.
And
what's your name?
That's because my name is Vasu Garg.
Yeah. That's the exact answer. Yeah.
So that will be because if we have, okay, should I continue?
Yeah, you continue. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that would be because if we leave some X cards out of the 13 cards in the original pile, then we will have 13 minus X upwards facing cards in our secondary pile. So that means we will again have X cards facing down. So if we just flip those, we'll have that many number of upwards facing again.
Yeah.
That is it. Thank you.
Yeah. That's the solution. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So remaining guys, they can just have a look at the screen if they wish to read out the solution. But whatever he explained is correct. Yeah, so I hope if there are no questions, then I'll go to the next question, which is kind of simple only. I just kept in a medium category just because of its calculations and all. So if you take a stick and break into 3 pieces, okay, where you're randomly breaking the stick into 3 pieces, then what is the probability that you can form a triangle with those 3 pieces? So that's the question. Simple question. Calculations can be a bit not tedious, but yeah, like it is not something which you can like explain me in mount. So if someone can tell me the right answer, then I'll explain the solution on using my screen.
1/4?
Yeah, it's 1/4. Do you have any elegant solution which you would like to tell, or is it some calculations?
Means I do not have solid proof for this.
Okay, fine. But 1/4 is the correct answer actually.
I have an
Yeah,
explanation.
yeah, tell.
Like using the thing that the sum of two sides cannot is always greater
Yeah,
than third side.
yeah,
So the greatest sum that we can have is half
yeah.
of the whole stick. So we'll first the greatest can be the half, and then the largest piece we'll take, and then we'll again break it in half. That is the largest that we can get again. So that will give 1/4.
Okay, just 1 second. No, can you repeat the solution once? Like I couldn't get how it came 1/4. Just can you repeat it?
Like the placement of cut I'm taking, like the maximum placement of cut is like I'm
Huh.
just placing the two cuts.
Yeah. Yeah, continue.
Somewhere
Yeah.
you said-
Yeah.
yeah. So the maximum placement of the cut first was that I will take the half of the stick. That's the maximum part. And then, or if there's the other largest part, then I will again break it into half. That is the maximum.
Yeah, but then how are you getting 1/4 from that? Like,
Think about that. I also.
yeah, but yeah, intuitively you guys are fine. But let me give you a formal proof. Okay, like something formal, but which is like quite close to what you explained to me right now. But yeah, I'll explain it formally. Okay. So you say you have a stick of length 1 and you randomly divide it into 3 pieces. Okay, so let one of the pieces be of size x, another be of y, and the last one will be 1 minus x minus y. Okay. Now we'll use that property like sum of two sides should be strictly greater than the third side. So what are the equations you can get? So this should be greater than 1 minus x minus y. So you get basically x plus y is greater than half. And then you get y plus 1 minus x minus y should be greater than x. So you get this thing, which is half x. And similarly, you can get these are the two sides which are adding, which should be greater than the third side. So you get 1 minus y to be greater than y. So you get 1 half to be greater than y. So these are the three equations which you get. And if these three equations are satisfied, then you definitely have a triangle. Okay. So we can just plot it here. So you have so what is your like ideal line? Like, okay, so ideally how would you capture the total possibilities? So you should have x plus y to be less than equal to 1 and should be greater than equal to 0. Okay, so you plot that line here. So you plot using a different line. Yeah, maybe do this. Okay, so this is your x plus y equal to 1 line, and like and then you will have yes, so obviously all type of constants you have to include, like x greater than equal to 0, y greater than equal to 0, all those things. So the feasible region, like all the possibilities of these three pieces is captured in this particular region. Okay.
Sir, is it like linear program?
It is like linear program. Yeah. But we are just calculating probability. Okay, we are not calculating solutions actually. But we're just plotting the lines actually. Like basically, like suppose like say if I ask you to just divide this stick into 3 pieces, and then you get the values of x and y, and based on x and y the third piece is automatically defined. Okay, so you are getting x comma y. Yeah, someone was interrupting. Yeah, tell.
I'm sorry, sir, but sir, x plus y cannot be equal to 1, right, sir? In that condition that you wrote, 0 is less than equal to
Like yeah. Like
should be less than 1.
Yeah, it should be strictly less than 1. Yes. I agree. Yeah. And yeah, just like but like, yeah, just for drawing purpose, yeah, like it's like infinitesimally small, like quite small, like all those cases, yeah, you can take. So basically all these x comma y points will sort of cover all possibilities. Okay. So this is the region basically, which is covering all possibilities, like graphically. Okay. Okay. So, so, so this is a region, but out of this region, how many regions will actually lead to a triangle? Okay. So for that, we need to plot these three equations, like 1, 2, and 3. So this is x plus y, I guess, equal to 1 line. Then I guess you'll have x plus y equal to half somewhere here, maybe. And then you'll have this, oh, sorry. You should have x plus y greater than half. So you'll be left with this region. And then suppose, like, forgive my drawing, but this, I assume that this and this are half, like this 0 comma half and this half comma 0. So just draw a line like this. And maybe draw a line like this. Like I should have drawn according to scale. But yeah, like just give me 1 second. I'll draw it properly. Okay, let me draw. I'll draw it properly this time. So this is your, say this is your axis. So let me draw. Say this, let this be half and let this be 1. So this is your x plus y equal to 1 line. Then you'll have your x plus y equal to half line. Then you should draw x is equal to half line like this. And you should draw y equal to half line, something like this. Okay. So your possibilities, like the points which cover your, like the points x comma y which lead to a triangle, is this particular region. Okay. So in this direction you'll have x less than half. In this direction you'll have y less than half. And in this direction you'll have x plus y greater than half. And in this direction you'll have x plus y less than 1. So this particular region is what will lead to a triangle, and this entire red region is your total possibilities. So if you divide this red region, like red area by blue area by red area, you'll get your value. So your total area is basically half, and your this particular area is half times 1 by 2 square. So which amounts to 1 by 4. So this is like how you can get, but obviously like intuitively and all you can solve it. But this is just a formal way of getting the answer. Yeah. Yeah. But I guess like, yeah, when you like practice these kind of puzzles, this all directly you can get. Like I think this question, since I'm explaining to you, it's taking a while. But if you solve it on your own, you can do it in a minute. I mean, in the interview puzzles and all, I mean. Yeah. So till now it was like quite kind of like mathematically oriented, but let's consider this particular puzzle. Okay. So okay, I'll explain this puzzle using the screen only, like by drawing. Yeah, okay. So the puzzle is, okay, so say this is a, C. Okay, obviously C is like you'll have extensions, but let us focus on a region. Okay, so this is a sea. Say this is a submarine. Okay, submarine, and you have an aircraft here. Okay. Okay. Now, aircraft has some radar. Okay, which it can use to sort of instantaneously find the location of the submarine. Okay, but it can use it only for one time, because even the submarine will also come to know where it is. And like, suppose like the limitation is you can use this radar for one time to pinpoint the location of the submarine, and assume that it's instantaneously you can find it out. But and you say you know even the speed of the submarine. Okay, speed of the submarine, and say it's S. So your aircraft can travel with 2s speed also. Like, say I'm telling you, like, so but the problem is you know the location of submarine, but you don't know in which direction the submarine can go to. Okay, like it can go in any possible direction. Okay, but you only know currently. Okay, so my aircraft is here, then my submarine is somewhere here. Okay, somewhere here. So I know, but I don't know from that point where will the submarine go. So how will I catch the submarine basically? Like I want to reach, like there should be, I want to catch the submarine, or I want to, so they, I should like there should be, like if the submarine say goes here, say suppose, then at one point of time I must also reach here at the same time and then catch the submarine. Okay, so like assume that the aircraft has some like magnet basically, say suppose. So when once it reaches here, it can automatically pull the submarine once it reaches the top of the submarine. The question is, what strategy would you use basically to catch the submarine? So speed, say suppose you know the speed, and you can also travel with some speed, but like suppose you can travel with 2s speed at most. Okay, so how will you catch the submarine basically? So if the question is not clear, you can just have a look at this here. It's written clearly. So actually this puzzle is kind of taken from X-Men movie. Okay, so but this is a very hard puzzle. Like it's not that easy to solve. Like at least if someone, if there's any queries regarding the question, you can ask. Otherwise, you can try to solve the puzzle also. Like how would you catch the submarine? So that's the main question.
Submarine will keep moving on the same direction, right?
Yeah. One, like the direction is same. Okay, it won't change the direction.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, tell.
So will the radar also inform the aircraft in which direction the submarine is traveling?
No. Obviously, otherwise, if the direction
Otherwise
is
it's
known,
easy.
then
Yeah.
it's easy.
Yeah. Okay. Just the location, right?
Yeah, just the location. Yeah, and even like say you know beforehand that okay, the submarine is moving at this particular speed.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And you can move at 2x speed of that particular speed, but other than that, you don't have any other facility.
Actually, I have one logic.
Yeah, then?
The submarine will, after the time t, it will go in any direction it can go. So it will go s into t distance. So it can be on a circle of radius s into t at any instant.
Yeah.
So I can start from at one point, let's say at after time t on that circle, and then form a spiral like thing in and travel in that. So at least at when I will cover one revolution, at least I will get one at one time I will catch it.
Yeah.
Because the distance from the point will be same.
Yeah, that's roughly the correct answer. Let's say, so this is our aircraft and this is our submarine. So basically, the possible location of a submarine is like the locus. Basically, the locus is a circle. Okay. So say after some time t, okay, so it will travel say some distance of say s into t. Okay. So you will have a locus of circle s into t. Now what we'll do, say the distance between initial distance between aircraft and that submarine, if the distance was say d, then two like 2/3 of the distance, okay, will travel in 2s speed. Okay, so the time taken would be d by 3s. Okay, for the aircraft to sort of reach here. Okay, now in that time, this submarine traveled the distance of d by 3. Okay, now exactly this is also d by 3 because like it traveled 2d by 3 distance and d by 3 distance is left, and this also traveled d by 3. Okay, now so both of them are in same circle. So this aircraft now can start moving in spiral. Okay, so that the radius is increasing with a speed of s. Okay, so the spiral which the aircraft is kind of doing, the radius of the spiral should be increasing with a speed of s. Then uh, after at one point of time, it will go and catch the submarine actually. So this is the rough logic, because say what's happening is if they are like if the spiral, if we are doing the spiral thing, right? So after say within one revolution, so if the submarine was moving in this direction, it will come and hit here. Okay, because because the spiral radius is increasing with the same speed as how the submarine is going, like submarine will keep on going in this direction. So as soon as your spiral will reach here, both of them will reach at this particular point at the same time, because the spiral's radius is increasing with speed s. Now how they do that and all you can forget, but along this particular line, both the aircraft and the submarine will come and intersect at this particular point only, because submarine is moving with speed s along this direction, and your spiral's radius is also increasing with speed s. Okay, so that's why this is how you'll go and catch the submarine actually. So this is a scene from X-Men movie actually, where they go and catch by the spiraling and all. So this is kind of an hard puzzle sort of. So this there, and we'll conclude this meeting with this one small puzzle. Okay, so I request you to take a screenshot of the puzzle. Okay, and try to solve this. Like in net, you will have solutions, but I did not find solutions which are like quite easy to understand or like quite simple and straightforward or something. So you can try to mail to my mail ID, and the solution which is kind of quite elegant or the best solution as per me or something like that, I'll mention it on the FB page. So, and I'll mention the writer's name and all. So yeah, you can just take a screenshot. Even I'll post the slides in the Microsoft Teams also, so that you can have a look at it later. You have solution for this in net, but I want you to, you can even read the solution, but I want you to present it nicely, because presenting solution is also an art actually. So yeah, so you can take a screenshot or else upload the slide, and then yeah, you can try to solve and send to me. Yeah, preferably if you yeah, sure, yeah, just send me at my email. Okay, yeah, that would be fine for me. Yeah, so I'll stop the recording.